We are at the Brisbane Strategic Architects headquarters, and I'm joined by the fabulous Ian Markram.
Thanks, Nigel.
So he's visiting up from Sydney today, and we're talking about the release of my book, Strategic Architecture for AI and Data. And we're going to talk about why I wrote it, how organisations can move from that AI ambition to something that's deliverable.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nigel. It's nice to be here. The weather is awesome in Brisbane. Now, Nigel, the book is out now. Why did you feel now was the right time to actually do it?
Yeah, so it's fairly obvious. It comes down to that experience and the timing that you've got. So back in 2019, I released that AI and data strategy book that's still selling, unfortunately. And I started that AI Friday sessions where we looked at like emerging trends and so at that point, AI was still in terms of enterprise adoption, not really taking off. But the intent of the book now is to help organizations prepare for what's coming and position themselves to take advantage of that. Nice. So obviously since 2019, continued to work in this space with a consulting practice, with the training courses that run right across Australia, New Zealand, US and Canada. And that AI and data is really picking up, as we know. So through doing that, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people across a lot of different professions and starting to see some consistent patterns occur through that. So what's working, where organizations are struggling, and you need to come forward from that. So what's changed, particularly over that last couple of years, it's been the pace of change, as we know. And we're always talking about AI, aren't we? So the rise of the generative AI has really accelerated everything. So what we're preparing for and is happening now at scale. And the challenge organizations are facing today is very different from what we had back in 2019. And so it's no longer about understanding AI. It's how do you implement it properly, how do you govern it, and how do you align it to those real business outcomes. So as you know, put the book out on Strategic Architecture Playbook earlier in the year. And having the book on AI and data puts that structure for people to read.
That was awesome. You talk in the book about Industry 5.0 and the AI supporting human work. What does it really mean in practice? And how should organizations approach that?
Yeah, at a high level, that Industry 5.0, which goes from the first industrial revolution right through to now, it's about moving from automation for efficiency and to that next point of collaborating with the people and eyes that's really assisting it. So it's not about replacing people. It's about augmenting them using AI to enhance their decision making, remove some of those repetitive touch you might be able to do with agents, and then having that allow the people to have that higher value work. So if they're able to move to that, that's really good. So like embedding AI into workflows. So you have your prompts and then you can build that into a workflow that you need, which is pretty handy. So it's a real shift happening, I reckon, from where we are today to be able to utilize AI efficiently. And you treat AI as that capability that sits alongside your workforce, so like hand in hand, and you align your AI initiatives to those real business outcomes, those real roles, and you invest in your skills and you adopt things like governance and responsible management of AI to effectively do that well. So the organizations that do this well, and that's the ones that you talk about all the time, are the ones that combine the strong architecture with a clear understanding of your people, process, your information, and your technology. So that's really where that Industry 5.0 looks like in practice. AI embedding in the organization in a way that enhances what people do and what people can have.
You also mentioned the human-centric component of that.
Yeah.
And you had a really awesome diagram in your book around the human-centric
Yeah.
with 5.0. And I think it's really important for people to really understand that humans are still going to be involved.
Yeah.
And there's two schools of thought. One is that, people will become redundant, and the other school, people become actually more busy and more in need with AI and leveraging AI. What's your thoughts around that from that perspective?
Yeah, great question, Ian. The realist industrial revolution was approximately 1760 to 1840, introduced that mechanizing production with the water and the steam and
Mhm.
economies and industrial side was a really good initiative. And then that second industrial revolution was enabled that mass production through electrification, transforming the manufacturing and your global trade. And then you get to the third industrial revolution, which we sort of popped into, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where that digital revolution, you got your PCs, you started off with your electronics, early automation, but no real AI
Mhm.
involved in that.
Mhm.
The fourth industrial revolution, around that 2010, is where that accelerated further. You got the blur between the technologies, and you got your data, you got your big cloud databases, your automation, and your artificial intelligence had that significant gains in the efficiency, your connectivity, and you started to have the challenges around your trust, ethics, and workforce impact. And really, when you're looking at Industry 5.0, as we've talked about in the book, it really builds on that foundation. It's increasing that automation, but redefining it in purpose. AI has been around a little while now.
Mhm.
We need to shift to having a human-centered AI where we've got responsible systems. We have people and AI like working in combination, focusing on your trust, your accountability, and sustaining that value creation that we have.
So, Nigel, you spend a lot of your time developing AI and data strategies. So, you've written a book, you've got a course to back up the book and help people through that process to learn everything else.
Mm.
You've worked on practical implementations. How do all those come together?
Yeah, I think they're all really connected, Ian. So your consulting gives you that real world problems that we
Hmm.
face all the time. So, and the book gives you the structure to be able to pick it up, run through the stages that it's got, and understand the challenges there. So that implementation side, which you do a lot of work in
Hmm.
that side, is where that actually works and comes together. So writing the book forces you to step back, ask some questions around what consistently works in our business, what works across other organizations, and work out what can be repeatable for what you do. So, a good example of that is the work we've done around automating parts of the strategic architect's proposal process
Hmm.
with yourself.
Hmm.
And that's been enabled through your consultancy OS.
Yeah,
And Ian, you head that up, lead the OS practice.
correct.
So at that high level, we structure that work into stages aligned to the strategic architect's domain. So you've got things like the scoping stage,
Hmm.
which defines the engagement, ensures that quality from the outset. You've got that discovery stage, which maps your requirements to your capabilities and create that clear architecture view.
Hmm.
But then you got the main stage. That's the proposal stage, which generates the structured outputs like your statement of work. You deliver the approaches and the pricing from that. So what that does is that consistent, repeatable process with that strong human oversight at every step, every step checks to make sure that's correct. So that platform supports the process, but the people involved, the consultants, are central to the whole thing.
Yeah. From our side, the focus is more really on the practical implementation. And what stood out in that approach was that everything was aligned really upfront. Okay. The strategy and the architecture were very clear before we built anything. Really important to get that right. The other thing is with consultancy firms, the IP and the methodology is always pretty lacking.
Mm.
So a lot of work had to go back onto the data
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get AI really working as it should be.
Mm.
So instead of just trying to fit technology to a problem later on, the outcome is already defined
Mm.
with that architecture guidance that we took from you as well. Thanks very much for that. That made it really easier to build, easier to scale, and make it more predictable, Nigel.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's working really well,
Yep.
and so still got, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess the key point is aligning strategy, architecture, and delivery is key, and AI becomes more easier to implement and scale as we go. So that's what we're seeing in practice, and that's what we're able to sort of implement.
So the real question is, Nigel, how does this book really actually help an executive build an AI and data strategy?
Yeah, it's really good. It's an item where you can take the book and you can see how to stage a strategy, to see what's involved.
Mm.
Great examples like on health, water industry, uh, pretty much across all industries are represented in the book,
Mm.
and you're able to take that as a step-by-step approach. So you start with defining your future ambition, what you need, what's your role AI and data should play,
Yep.
and then look at the measurable business outcomes that can be achieved. And it always runs back to those business outcomes and your strategies that you need to do. So it walks you
Mm.
through how to identify the right use cases,
Yep.
your quick wins, and then your long term ones as well. And then the guiding principles, your directions, assessing your capabilities, and understanding where you are starting from. So importantly, it doesn't just stop with a strategy.
Yep.
We also in the book have how to do your practical roadmap. So how do you prioritize
Nice.
initiatives? How do you have clear sequencing, defining your ownership, and a structured adoption model,
Mm.
so that you can have your governance, your technology, your people, and your change all together. So for an executive, it becomes less about where to start and about having that clear pathway forward. So it gives you that structure, gives you the language, gives you a confidence to lead AI data as a strategic capability for your firm. And it's not just a disconnected lot of initiatives. They're all in a plan, prioritized
Yep.
effectively.
Yep.
So it provides that grounding, I guess, of real use cases from actual strategy to transformation programs, and it shows you how to work in practice, not just in theoretical
Mm.
terms.
So from what we're seeing, there are organizations struggling, the most with AI. Who is this book really for, and what makes it different?
Yeah, it is definitely different when you look out there. So
Mm.
most organizations don't necessarily struggle with the technology itself, because the technology can be quite easy to implement.
Yep.
It's more that challenge of alignment and execution to get it from the point of, this is what we want to do, and actually executing it
Yep.
effectively
Yep.
in your organization with your people that you have.
Yeah.
So often you've got good ideas, and I've been in a lot of meetings where there's a lot of ideas thrown around, but there's no strategy in place. There's no architecture and design to be able to take that effectively and end up with that at scale with your initiatives. So if you don't have those elements, you have fragmented initiatives that might work well for a pilot but not work well for the entire organization.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that's what the book's about. As far as audience, probably any executives, any business and IT executives would appreciate it
Mhm.
and understand it. Architects, obviously, because I'm an enterprise architect,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
that would be good. And it takes you. It's not just a strategy; it's the roadmap and then the implementation. So we don't just talk about strategy and not the end. So
Very nice.
walks you through those key stages. That includes, defining your strategic outcomes,
Yep.
which is what you need to do, prioritizing your use cases, making sure that you've got them in place, assessing your capability, and then having that sequence roadmap from start to end. So it's really grounded in real world delivery, the book, which makes it useful, practical use cases, initiatives, and like I said, it's across a lot of industries like
Mm.
healthcare, councils that we worked with, water utilities, transport in a couple of states, and also some of the public works and those sort of departments as well. So yeah, not just about understanding AI, it's about applying it in a structured way that links back to your business outcomes, your customer service, everything that you need.
Yeah.
So thanks, Ian.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming up to Sydney. You've got a couple of other people to talk to over the next few days. But yeah, it's really good that you've been part of it, been part of the book development, been
Love
part of the, having the use cases in there. And hopefully this book will resonate with people out there and they'll enjoy it.
Yep. Thanks, Nigel, for having me. And you're a great success and a great thought leader in this space. And if anyone's out there, you should at least grab a copy of the book.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
absolutely.